harsh beams of the sun. They're burning everything. We're all gonna die. No, you're not. Johnny McMuscles, you're here! You're damn right. What are you going to do? I'm gonna give that bastard a piece of his own medicine. But the race! Ain't got time for pain. No! You hear me? Take this! What a hero. So we're talking monsters this week, specifically why everyone seems to be so obsessed with fighting each of these monsters, and because I just so happened to see Jason Statham fight the Super Shark a few days ago. Anyway, you know the whole deal is, big monster animal of mysterious origins arrives to wreak havoc on a group of people, and it normally is up to some beefy boy to put an end to the monster. Easy and fun, right? Well, if all these movies follow the same basic plot, then why do people keep coming back to these films? Why are we as a culture so obsessed with fighting these giant animals? Well, if we were in English class, then we'd probably start by discussing literary theory with man versus nature and whatnot. And that's fine, because I do think there lies some really good truth within that simple frame. Yes, these monsters appearing as something powerful that we can't control very much works as a symbol of our relationship to nature. We, as people, can't control natural disasters, animals, and other such forces, and that lack of control scares us. So, the very nature of a big shark trying to eat us speaks to a very innate fear we, as humans, all have. Which results in the most interesting part of all these movies. The ending. Yes, the ending normally involves the monster dying, but the manner in how the monster is slain is where the curiosity really lies. Sometimes the monster dies through some witty plan, sometimes it dies saving us, sometimes it takes just raw muscle of the action hero to stop the beast. It's strange, because in some ways it subtly shows these different films' takes on our relationships to nature. Is it something that needs to be tamed and controlled, or something that we are all a complete mercy to, or something we need to synergize with? It's an interesting take to this complex problem. And I should also state that I don't think these movies actively push these themes. I think the assessment made is more passive, given that these movies tend to end with some sort of answer to that proposed question. The Meg, as it so happens, is an interesting case, because with shark movies like Jaws or Deep Blue Sea, where the lead kills the beast with ingenuity or his own merit, the Meg denies that sentiment. Jaws and Deep Blue both end with the hero persevering by enduring relentless attacks and muscling their way out, seeming to imply that to defeat this great unstoppable force is merely to persevere and survive. A very simple work hard and you'll make it out to be a survivor angle. And the Meg has a similar scene with Jason Statham manhandling the Megalodon, but ultimately his bravado is not the killing blow to the beast. While he may have wounded the beast, the ultimate killing blow comes from a swarm of smaller sharks coming in and eating the Megalodon. So, essentially, the big force that nature created was ultimately fixed by another force of nature. Weird, because it makes the scene feel almost like pure luck. The movie doesn't say that Jason Statham's character knew this would happen. His relief and astonishment is almost the same as the audience's. A very different narrative from what the last few shark movies have been pushing. The Meg seems to imply that at very least our involvement with nature may carry some weight, but ultimately the problem will fix itself. Which is interested in saying that our involvement needs to synergize with nature or else we'd end up dead. And with all the new breakthroughs about the inner workings and understandings of our planet, it makes a lot of sense. And this goes beyond just movies. In the Monster Hunter games, a series all about fighting giant monsters and slaying them, most of the previous installments focused merely on the idea of going out and hunting these giant beasts, so you can make better loot and prepare to kill the next big monster. It was a simple and understandable premise, self-empowerment through bettering each of these monsters. But in this new game, Monster Hunter World, the story focuses much more on researching the beasts and understanding their relation to the ecosystem. Now, of course, people don't always listen to the story, the game still indulges in all the killing and skinning of the beast, but it is interesting that the game makes you play the story in an attempt to get you to pay attention to those presented themes. Is it successful? Probably not. There are other bad readings in the game, but I do think the game attempting to emphasize the research angle about how these giant beasts relate to the environment shows a shift in perspective, a change in how we view our relationship to nature. And this is where our last example really comes in swinging. Godzilla 2014, a controversial film for a lot of reasons. Some people hate it, some people love it, and some people are just upset that Bryan Cranston is only in it for 30 minutes. But the most notable part of the film is the ending. The ending that reveals that Godzilla is our protector and our savior. The notorious city destroyer is really a force for good in our world? Now, there's a lot of analysis in this movie that regards to this subject, but ultimately the implication is that these giant monsters of natural disasters are not really villainous. Are they uncontrollable? Are they scary? Yes, but they exist for a reason. And it also should be noted that the monsters Godzilla fights, they feed off radiation, which is one of the biggest metaphors across sci-fi for the dark side of technology and how we're ruining our planet. So, if Godzilla is meant to be our savior from these monsters who have grown stronger by our own creations, it seems pretty cut and dry. Godzilla, our metaphor for nature, is trying to save us from ourselves. Literally, nature is showing up to bail us out of our predicament, which carries a lot of weight given Godzilla's previous incarnations as just a big force for destruction and death. So, ultimately, our culture returns to these big monsters for a reason. And that might just be because it's cool to watch giant monsters fight each other. But there is a clear shift about how these movies and games choose to depict these monsters, and our relationship to them, and how we should deal with them, which I think is pretty neat. But that's all I got for today. If you have any other big monster recommendations, let me know. And if you enjoyed this, share this with your friends. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, all that, and I'll see you next time.